Update your wish lists because SCS Software is bringing Euro Truck Simulator 2 and American Truck Simulator to PlayStation and Xbox.
For many years, players have been asking the same question. Will Euro Truck Simulator 2 and American Truck Simulator ever come to console? Now, that question finally has a clear answer. It has been officially confirmed that both games are heading to PlayStation 5, and the response has been massive, with over 500,000 wish lists already recorded. In this video, we're going to talk about why this is happening now, what console players can expect, and how SCS Software reached this point. This is not about speculation or guessing timelines. Everything discussed here is based on what has already been confirmed and clearly communicated. ETS2 and ATS stand at the very top of the truck simulation genre on PC. There are other driving games, and there are other simulators, but when it comes to depth, realism, scale, and long-term support, nothing comes close. These games have grown over many years, shaped by constant updates, expansions, and feedback from a dedicated community. Because of that, it's hard to imagine any other truck simulation competing with them on console. Once they arrive, they won't just be another option. They will define the genre on that platform. But if this feels like such an obvious move, it raises an important question. Why did it take so long? This console release was not a sudden idea. SCS Software has openly stated that they've been thinking about bringing ETS2 and ATS to console for more than a decade. The interest was always there, but the games themselves were not ready. Both titles were built from the ground up as PC simulations. They relied heavily on keyboard input, steering wheels, open file systems, and unrestricted modding. Those foundations worked perfectly on PC, but they simply did not fit the console environment. Console platforms are closed systems. They demand stability, predictable performance, and strict technical standards. For many years, trying to force ETS2 and ATS into that space would have meant compromises. SCS Software chose not to do that. They waited. The turning point came with Update 150. This update wasn't just another content patch, it was a deep technical overhaul of the game's core systems. The engine powering both ETS2 and ATS was updated in a way that allowed long-standing limitations to finally be addressed. This opened the door to changes that had been needed for years. One of the most visible changes was the user interface. Menus were redesigned, fonts were modernized, and colors were cleaned up to create a clearer and more consistent experience. These changes were not cosmetic. They were essential steps toward making the games work naturally on console screens and controllers. Another major breakthrough came with full controller integration. Before this point, controllers technically worked, but they were never truly central to the experience. After the engine update, controller navigation became smooth and intuitive. Menus could be fully controlled with a joypad. Button prompts made sense. Driving, camera control, and interaction all felt natural without a keyboard. This single change removed one of the biggest barriers to a console release. Without proper controller support, a console version simply would not work. With it, the foundation was finally in place. Even with engine upgrades and controller support, there was still one major problem: optimization. PC games are incredibly flexible, but that flexibility comes at a cost. ETS2 and ATS had to support thousands of hardware combinations, endless mod setups, and years of accumulated content. Consoles don't allow that level of freedom. They require consistency, stability, and performance that works the same way for everyone. Optimizing two massive simulation games to meet those standards was the hardest part of the process. This involved deep engine work, memory management improvements, asset optimization, and long-term testing. This is the part that took the most time. And it's also the reason SCS Software waited until they were confident before making any announcements. If you're enjoying this explanation so far, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps support more in-depth content like this. One common concern is whether the console versions will be limited or simplified. They won't be. SCS Software has made it clear that ETS2 and ATS on console are meant to deliver the full experience. That includes the core game, official map expansions, cargo packs, trailer DLCs, and other major content. This is not a separate version of the game. It's the same world, adapted properly for console hardware. Mods are a huge part of ETS2 and ATS, so this question comes up a lot. Will mods work on console? The answer is yes, but not immediately. Mod support is planned for a later stage and will use a curated system similar to platforms like Mod.io. This approach is already used successfully in games such as Farming Simulator. On console, mods must go through an approval process. They are tested for stability, safety, and platform compliance. Players won't download mods from websites or install files manually. Instead, approved mods will appear inside an in-game manager. This means fewer mods than on PC, but also a safer and more stable experience that fits console ecosystems. Another important topic is steering wheel support. This will not be a problem. Major manufacturers like Logitech, Thrustmaster, and Fanatec already support both PlayStation and Xbox platforms. Players will be able to use wheels, pedals, and full driving setups without losing immersion. At the moment, Moza hardware is not supported on consoles, which is a platform limitation rather than a game issue. One thing SCS Software has been very clear about is communication. They do not want to rush announcements. They do not want to promise things too early. And they do not want to disappoint players with changing plans. That's why details are being shared carefully and only when they are ready. This approach reflects how seriously they are taking this transition from PC to console. ETS2 and ATS coming to console is not about chasing trends. It's the result of patience, technical progress, and long-term planning. The games are mature, the engine is ready, and the experience can now exist comfortably outside of PC. Now, I want to hear from you. When these games arrive, will you be playing on console? Or will you stay on PC? Leave a comment below and let me know. Drive safe, and I'll see you in the next video.